It's the Maurice show, so I'm gonna kick it off to him. And we are recording. It looks like the little red dot is on, so welcome.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's 10:02. If you're still joining in, welcome. Thank you all for being here this morning. Welcome to the first coalition meeting of this fiscal year. I'm Maurice Manus, if you don't know me. Running the meeting this morning with all of my wonderful associates and helpers at TTI that are going to be helping us out and taking us through. And Kathy, did you say Jack's running the slideshow? Is that right?
That's Jack.
Okay, so today, here's our agenda. Start with remarks and introductions. I think Kathy's going to take us through a refresher on teams. We're going to talk about the vision for this next year, task force update, some expectations and plannings for the upcoming year, along with our dates and agenda topics for the future meetings, with an open forum at the end, and then adjourning at the end of all that.
So for the teams, we've been using this platform for several meetings now, so hopefully we're getting used to it. But please stay muted unless you are actually speaking to kind of cut down on some of the background noise. And Jack, if you can go to the next slide, please. So TTI staff is on board and will be helping us with keeping the background noise down as much as we can. But we do want you to participate in the meeting. So please participate by using the chat, which is up on the top toolbar. You can click to see what other participants are in the meeting. You can turn your camera and mic off also at the top. And if you'd like to raise your hand to say something, also up at the top, if you hit that reactions and raise your hand, we will call on you for sharing with the meeting. So with that, next.
All right. Some of the things we wanted to talk about today is get some input and feedback from everyone who comes to these things. And the first thing we want to know is why do you come to these meetings? What is your purpose? What do you hope to get out? So as she said, you can reply in the chat. You can raise your hand. We'll call one-on-one and kind of go down the list and try to get that feedback.
Go ahead, Chris Sharman.
Yeah, I attend just to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on with the coalition, what y'all are working on, and how it might apply to the campaigns that I manage for TxDOT, one of which is the motorcycle or motorist awareness campaign for motorcyclists. And the other reason I attend is to hopefully add some value to your discussions and provide that perspective from TxDOT and from my perspective as a professional advertiser and someone who does marketing for a living.
Excellent.
Some of our comments are coming in from Keith Ravel to stay informed and in touch with other folks. Jane Lundquist, welcome. Glad to see you here. Want to know what is going on in the motorcycle world. Charles, interested in education and safety and how to improve the same for riders and drivers. Mike Sconza, network with industry professionals. Tinker, it's your first meeting. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Motorcycle safety is important, an important issue for them. They're a rider. I see that this may be a way to get involved in something that can improve rider safety. It definitely is, Tinker. Thank you.
And welcome to your first meeting.
We've got another first meeting. Hermelinda, welcome. Glad you're here.
So some of you have already kind of touched on what you're expecting as far as, you know, the latest goings on, information and networking. But any other new or other expectations? I mean, that's one of the things we want to know and hear from you so that we can match those things and see where we're focusing or not focusing, and try to get that kind of manage those as well. So let us know what if you haven't clearly told us your expectations or what you're hoping to gain or provide input as well. So opening that up for that feedback.
Maurice, I think that's a great question. This is Michelle. What can we have a small enough group today? What does everyone think that they could help provide input for? That's a good. We're always looking for perspective from riders and coaches.
I see a hand raised.
Yeah, Tinker, go ahead and unmute and share.
Well, I think that's my big purpose for being here is just to, like I said, to kind of get involved in something that can help improve rider safety. And that's all I am. I'm just a rider. I don't have any affiliation with DOT or A&M or anything like that. I just have perspective. I've got miles on the road and I follow along with some of your social campaigns. And as Michelle knows, because she's the one who invited me here after a pretty lengthy comment I left, I see a disconnect between some of the advice that comes from, in particular, the Look, Learn, Live Facebook page is what I follow. Some of the advice from that kind of doesn't really land very well. So my perspective, I figure, could help. That's what is all over the website, that the perspective is important. So that's kind of what I expect here, is to possibly see opportunities where I can learn and where maybe I can contribute.
Excellent.
Definitely much appreciated. And social media is probably one of the biggest ways that we are able to reach people these days. So involvement in that and moving those forward is very helpful in this cause.
I agree. Repetition helps.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Woody here. I don't know if I've connected correctly or doing the right thing.
We hear you, so you're connected.
Outstanding. Well, that's half of it. I apologize for the delay since my last meeting or attendee. It's not that I haven't been working behind the scenes, but I've been working behind the scenes. I've kind of taken a sideway approach in addition to my day job. I'm spending a little bit of time with the independent sport bike riders. I got invited to one of their bike nights. My frustration level is extremely high. There's talent in every organization, but there's some youngsters that are out there on sport bikes that I'm having a hard time reaching. It feels like I'm losing a lot of them on a too regular basis. So that's kind of where my heart and spirit is right now.
I'm thinking, Whitting, we saw you in Galveston over the weekend.
Hey, yeah. By the way, big shout out, compliments. That was a great booth, great setup. Sure was a pleasure meeting you. And to your point, I have signed up for advanced on the motorcycle accident scene management class. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Great.
Thank you for that. Okay.
So Hermelinda says she's looking for knowledge and female writer groups. So
Excellent.
help us make contact with those female writer groups, and we will definitely be sharing information with them. That's one of our biggest struggles, is how do we actually reach the general public. I think, Tinker, when you said I'm just a writer, that's what this is for. This is for just the writers and the writer groups.
Yep.
To share what you're experiencing out in everyday writing, to help us understand your needs more than just the data. Because the data tells us one story, but there's people behind the data, and we need to understand the people behind the data as well.
Yep.
And how do we reach them? And to your point, Woody, how do we reach those sport bike riders? How do we identify the types of riders, and then how do we reach them?
To your point, I'll take the action. I've got an RC, a women's RC that I hang out with called Lolitas. I think there's a great opportunity. Some of my friends, some of the characters in that group. So I'll reach out to them.
Great. And Mike says Penny does a great job with ASM. There are
Yeah.
too many acronyms in the world. Mike, who's ASM?
Accident scene management.
Accident scene management.
So
Okay.
the class that Woody was talking about,
Mhm.
that's one of the instructors. I guess another thing might be where people are calling in from. I mean, we've got different areas represented, that kind of thing. And Jane just put in, she's working on the work zone safety issues. I'm guessing that's probably with Laura, if I'm not mistaken, if you're still doing that.
Penny's out of if you're talking about Penny Jensen Fuller, she's out of Region 1.
Yes. Okay.
So actually, Jane, this isn't one that we're working on, but is it Chris or do we finally get Chris and Jane together so we can get some movement on the work zones? Yay! Yay!
If I may speak,
Please.
I was approached by a fellow in TTI. I wanted to have TxDOT do a research project on work zones. And as a writer, I've had some real wild experiences over the years going through some of these work zones. One that was really wild was when I was on I-35 going through Kansas, and they had concrete barriers on both sides of a 2-lane roadway, on I-35. It was a detour, and an 18-wheeler was coming at me, and I just had to hang on tight because it was a body slam when I met up with that wave of air, and there was no escape for it because of the concrete barriers. And I don't believe that designers understand that's a real significant safety issue. If I hadn't been hanging on, I would have been blown over those barriers. And then you've got the turbulence at the back side of the truck. So it's there are issues that people don't think about, and we're trying to help designers be more aware of what we can do to help motorcyclists, because we're overlooked in the design manual that is put out by AASHTO.
Thank you.
Great.
It's a
Looking
great.
forward to hearing about the updates to that later in the future. So keep up the good work. So the next big question are, what are your top motorcycle safety concerns? So again, grab the microphone, put it out there, or type it into the chat. What are your big top motorcycle safety concerns? I know Woody, you kind of hit on one of the ones you're experiencing there with young sport bike riders. So let's hear what your safety concerns are and what we can do about them.
I can summarize in 127 words or less.
Let's hear it.
I apologize. Once I start rambling, I've got a little tattoo in my finger, so stop talking. It's a dangerous trap that I get into when I start talking about motorcycle safety awareness and new rider training. Anybody can go to the store and buy a brand new motorcycle, and I'm okay with that. I don't think that there should be restrictions on what you can't ride, but there needs to be tighter communications within, and this is where I go blank, the motorcycle community, the dealership, me. But for instance, I'm listening to the forum and I'm reading, and there's some mature adult responsible answers, and then there's the other kids. Hey, we're meeting up at 1000. We're going to run Lime Creek and see who can run it the quickest. We're going to leave out Lago Vista and head to Marble Falls, and if we can't do that in 24 minutes or less, like, come on, guys. So I feel like I'm picking up indications of at least one a week going down, and about that often there's a fatality. So I try to go in there and have a mature, responsible conversation, and a bunch of people pick up on it. But then there's some young guns. They'll look and smile and nod. And I pulled up to this bike night. There's one doing a burnout in the parking lot, two more wheeling down South Lamar. And the thing that I try to communicate is great, have fun, do it somewhere, go out to Dakota, do track day, tear it up out there. But when you're riding in the community, you're impacting, every time you pass one on your rear wheel, you're impacting a voter or two. And then those two voters are impacting 4 and 8 and 16, 32, and you get my math. All of a sudden, all of us are lousy, stinking bikers. And they just don't seem to grasp that concept. So that's the approach, responsible riding in the community. If you want to go out to the country and find a road, don't, but we'll talk about that in another way. That's the community I'm up against. When I look at the network that I have been working on since 2006, a lot of responsible, mature, big bike riders, and a lot of these guys in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. What am I going to do to go convince them or teach them or talk to them about riding this way or not riding that way? They're mostly set in their way and mature and responsible, but I can only penetrate that so far. So the approach I have to take, I feel, is with kids. I'm doing it for as my big boss used to say, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for my grandkids. And that's the approach that I'm trying to take. And it's sometimes if I just reach 1 or 2 people out of 100, then that's 1 or 2 people that can carry it forward. Anyway, that's where I'm at. That's my concern. And that's all I have to say about that.
Good stuff. And keep it up. Changing the numbers, if it's 1 at a time, that's 1 less. That's,
yep.
Hopefully we can see greater gains in that, but you got to start somewhere, and, it's each of us trying to do that. Go ahead.
That's it. If I can just get 1 at a time. Now I've got one that I'm tracking personally. I came upon a fatality. A husband and wife team in my neighborhood were taken out by DUI. It's a heartbreaker and wrenching, and I'm going to follow that one through the system, and without getting emotionally involved and going back and pointing fingers. I want to extract from this case pertinent information that I go back to the community as riders. Is what can we do different? Or what should we have done different? What's available as options? And this is much deeper to me than blowing grass out on the middle of the street. But that's one that is personal because that happened up on my street just the other day. So yeah, that's it. Just get 1, get 2, get 3 at a time. Go fishing. That's where I'm at.
Well, we
Thank
need
you.
more fishers. The harvest is plentiful. That's,
Yeah,
I
you're
think,
spot on.
Tinker have a hand raised.
Yeah. When it comes to safety concerns, I mean, obviously education is going to be number one. I kind of fall into the Harley rider group, and it's what most of my friends ride. And too many times I look around and see people duck walking through a parking lot because they aren't confident enough with their throttle control, things like that. And I think that that's real important, of course, to avoid single rider collisions. And it teaches the BRC and some of the advanced courses, they teach a little bit more about, being aware in intersections and lane positioning and things like that. Those things are very important, and probably I don't think anybody would disagree when I say that my safety is my responsibility before anybody else's. And I think every rider needs to know that. And it kind of touches on what Woody was saying a little bit about any rider can go in and buy any bike as well. That's all good and well. Buy whatever bike you want to. I've got a friend, he went and bought a full dresser for his first bike. Now he's got a history in racing, but everything was four wheels. He decided to go on a ride with me in Northeast Texas with about 2,500 miles under his belt, and decided to stomp on the rear brake when a curve scared him. And luckily he was able to catch it, but he has been a little grandma ever since. And for better or worse, I think that's actually a good thing, because it's slowing him down and getting him to learn a little bit. So number one, it's always going to be rider education and people understanding how to operate their motorcycle. Second, for me, I don't know how many of you guys are in the Northeast Texas region. I'm in Hunt County, Greenville, which is east of Dallas. Up here, all the way to Louisiana and to Oklahoma, there has been a massive surge of road construction around here. And construction's good, fix the roads, that's fine. I've seen riders die from cracks in roads. Experienced riders where the crack just took the bike off into wet grass, and that was the end of the story. So I definitely want the cracks and the falling off of the shoulders to be fixed. But it does bug me a little bit how DOT likes to leave gravel without signs. For cars, that actually is a big deal. I've seen a vehicle recently this summer roll over on US 71 because of gravel around a corner. And it was like a chip seal that they had put down and they weren't totally finished yet. And the driver went a little too fast. For motorcycles, you don't even have to go too fast. That kind of stuff really irks me. It irks me to see a loose gravel sign when there's a gravel pit that's 100 feet long and has a 2 to 3 inch drop into big, large, soft gravel. Things like that impact rider safety a lot. I mean, you have the ones who just don't know any better and go through it and have to deal with the pitfall. And then you have the others who think, oh, hey, I can avoid that. And no, you can't. Aside from that, distracted drivers, that's always the big concern. I've got 40 something thousand miles, and my only close calls have been with distracted drivers. Those are my three things.
Excellent. Thank you. And we're glad you're here today. Thanks for joining us.
Tinker, I like it. Thank you. I've got a friendly new guy. He's a late bloomer. Didn't get his first street bike till his 60s, and he took all the training courses. And we don't work, so we spend weekdays out in the country and try to do that. And I took him to his first rally this weekend, which just precious. Took him to Lone Star, and he is working on his skills. My frustration with the new guys, he hangs off the back of the pack. But it was really educational, a great opportunity to bring somebody up. We talk an awful lot at water breaks about the situational awareness or driving for 6, 4 aft, 2 coming in, and what to do in that case. And we talk a lot about lines. Somebody said earlier about dog paddling or duck walking off the start. We hang out in the parking lot and do figure eights. We use his bike, so I don't want to drop mine, but we spend a lot of time. If you can't start with your feet up, then let's work on that, because you're going to run over your toes. So yeah, cool. Thanks, man.
We've also had some comments going on in the chat. Charles Hurd, top concerns, lack of education and safety issues, both by riders and drivers. need to improve awareness. Part is repetition, part is branding, part is signage, part is requiring or encouraging training, and part is a reality check, peer encouragement, club buy-in, culture change. It's another comment. Being required to have a motorcycle license to purchase a motorcycle. And then again, on the distracted driving agreement, with distracted driving getting worse.
Yeah, I'm not even going to spend the next hour wasting your time commenting on that. I live outside of Leander. We've got an unbridled growth rate. It's just phenomenal. And which is the 2-lane country road I have to get in and out of my area. And with my friends and family live out here, we've got a new onslaught of automobiles. And now the bus system has grown to take care of the babies, which is great. But part of my speech is the people that drive cars. What is it? 500,000 registered vehicles in the state of Texas, and motorcycles represent less than 1.5% of those total bikes, the total vehicles. The automobiles, the cages, rely on muscle memory, and you can feel it when they look through their shoulder to make a lane change and not see the bike, or worse, get frustrated and pass the bike so they can make a turn in a quarter mile. So I'm all on board with automobile education. We talked about this a long time ago, and there's been some gain in the defensive driving course from unawareness, and this is to the new kids. But yeah, I'm sorry if I got on my soapbox, but I'm dealing with a lot of people that have moved out to what used to be the country and have inner city patients. Hey, to my own mea culpa, I rarely get into the big city, but I took the missus out for dinner. I pull up to a stoplight. I want to make a right on red. I proceed through the intersection, doing everything right. All of a sudden, what are all these people doing in the middle of the road? And my wife's going, yeah, baby, they're in a crosswalk. I thought, oh, geez, of all the people, me. But to my point, it's situational awareness. Where are you at? What you're doing? So the first thing to take as medicine has got to be me, and carry that downhill. Crosswalks. We don't have that out here.
It's too far to walk
That's
anywhere out there.
Pack a bag lunch.
We did have one more input from Chris Sharman, and then we'll move on to the next topic. But it says he thinks there's more than 22 million registered vehicles in Texas. About 400,000 are motorcycles or mopeds. 22 million.
That's a fresh number.
Yeah.
Well, we have a growth rate of 100. Just out here in the Leander Commons, we have 110 a week coming in. So yeah, sure. Say that number again for me. 2 million.
It's
22 million and 400K in MCs. But that's
Chris is
Is
usually
that
on top of the
22 million
data.
or two?
That's what he does. 2 million.
22 million or 2 million.
22. 22.
400K are bikes.
Yes.
Wow. All right, I got to update some charts. Thank you.
See, that's a good thing about coming here and getting new information, the latest, greatest. So
Yeah, copy that.
next thing, what do we do in our community? The area you're at. What are we doing in our area to improve things in our area for that? So
Don't
Hi, this is
participate
Spitfire. TCS. Sorry.
go ahead.
No, go Spitfire.
So this is Spitfire, TCU CNI, Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Coordinator, Region 1. What we have been trying to do, of course, is what we have been doing is proclamations with each city, for Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month. But there's a constant brick wall with, for example, trying to work with our entities for the roadways to get more signage out, to get more, visual signage for the vehicles, as far as sharing the road, watch out for motorcycles, that kind of stuff. More, it's been difficult to try and go up those avenues with that. So I'm open to any other new suggestions as to how to have the vehicle drivers, the cage drivers, watch out for us, look out for the motorcyclists. Social media works, but if these drivers, it's no interest to them for motorcyclism, why would they want to look at that part of social media? So that's where I'm kind of stuck in my part of the region, and of course what I do.
Spitfire, help remind the whole group where you're at.
Region 1 is Austin area.
The big city center.
Correct. I've got 27 counties for Region 1. So we go all the way up to Temple Killeen, go out by Bastrop, go out past Leander, Liberty Hill. That's my area, down by San Marcos. So I've got a rather large area, and of course, different riding areas. It's city, it's rural, it's all sorts of different kind of riding. So yeah.
Spitfire, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Region 1 also dive down into, like, I think it's Johnston County between Victoria and Houston? Kind of makes that arrow.
That's Region 3.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's hear from somebody else here.
Go ahead, Tinker.
Not really sure what you'd consider a community. I mean, in a pretty small town here, there's maybe 60 or 70 riders in my area that I at least know as casual acquaintance. But I mean, yeah, I don't really understand that question. What can we actually do other than, hey, by the way, put your cell phone down, don't kill me. I mean, there's things like that. Lighting. God, I'm real big on lighting. Anybody even suggests that they're possibly interested in upgrading the lighting on their bike, LEDs all the way. Here, add the auxiliary lights down here, get a good light triangle going, ride with your high beams on, do whatever you can, put extra tail lights on, be a Christmas tree going down the road. I don't care. But I mean, other than that, I think that's actually probably one of the reasons I'm here, is to understand what more can be done.
Excellent. Well, what you're doing, those are good things. And then as Woody and Spitfire have touched on, I mean, there's a lot of awareness things that can be done. TTI, we've done yard signs, billboards, these kind of things, but we want this input and what the concerns are so we can focus this next year's efforts on those hot topic items, which we've heard several people mention the driving and driver awareness is a huge part. Motorcyclists' responsibility and how you're helping out newer riders. Woody's helping out newer riders. The training, education, and mentoring aspects. These kind of things. But those are all parts of this very big puzzle we're working on.
Okay.
And
that
community is exactly that. It's where you live. You're there in Greenville. Spitfire has Austin, kind of the hub, and then also all the rural areas to cover Woody, who's out in semi-rural, going away quickly. But it's all these pieces of the state, and we have to cover the whole thing because, I mean, that's where we are. We're Texas. It's a really big, it's a pretty big puzzle.
Yep, I agree with that. There's a lot to get around to.
sorry, this is Spitfire again.
Yes, ma'am.
We've been really trying to focus on is trying to at least implement, motorcycle awareness in with the new drivers coming up, that, within the online course, adding, motorcycle training in there, whether they're getting a motorcycle license or not, that gives them an idea of how to share the road with us as well. Those were thoughts that we were trying to work with. And I also live in like Cedar Park, Austin area, this lovely toll road, highway Mecca area. And I see a lot of the electronic signs that are on the highways. And I don't know if that's TxDOT or just the actual belongs to the toll road people, the owners or not. But the only time I see share the road motorcycle is the month of May. And our area, and in Texas, we ride around yearly. So we're trying to get that signage of share the road on a yearly basis and not just the month of May or maybe a month in. That's how we're wondering how to do that. Other than that, that's another kind of thing that I'm trying to work with and not sure who to go to get that moving.
Well, I think this is a great place to start that conversation, and I would agree with you that, May is being Motorcycle Awareness Month nationally is a great thing, but if we're only noticed in May, we got the other 11 months we're still trying to survive, right? So, and Tinker, I think you had your hand up again, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually wanting to try to get a handbook if I could, since learning about the meeting yesterday, but it wasn't able to. When I took my new driver handbook, which has been 20 years and 6 months ago, I only remember motorcycles even being mentioned in the handbook or the driver's test maybe once or twice. I know trucks were mentioned quite a few times, but to me, awareness of motorcycles starts right there. And she said about with new drivers, getting them more aware. And of course, we've all seen the memes about teach your kids to look for motorcycles and they'll always be able to spot them. It is a muscle memory thing. It's something that you create as a habit. It becomes just something you do, to be able to actually look and recognize this smaller profile object with usually a single light, maybe a couple little running lights on the front coming at you, and to be able to kind of estimate that, hey, it's coming. How fast is it coming? Do I have time? That starts very early on. And yet I don't believe that the state really does anything to draw any attention to that except in May.
Agreed. One of the challenges we face is, as they pointed out, 22 million cars and a few motorcycles. One of the things is, you see the things you look for. And this is one of the things that is talked about in training is that, I don't know what kind of vehicle you drive, but you probably notice the other vehicles of a similar nature, and motorcyclists see motorcyclists, truck owners see trucks, and these kind of things. And if you have a particular car, how do we improve people seeing motorcycles? And you've mentioned some, the lights and other things can help break the barrier of I'm not looking for them. And that is an area that we think we can put up there on the list as something that needs to be improved as far as awareness, motorist awareness for sure. So it'll probably be in the top portion for sure. So good comments. Keep them coming. What do you mean high vis vests aren't cool, Mike? I wear one. What are you saying?
I think he's also saying, be a good example. So, make them cool, Mike. Just.
Hey, anybody that rides with me knows that what gear I wear. So, it's very common across a lot of different motorcycle groups, a lot of different clubs and stuff like that. Your not shun, but, you know, people, they don't want to see, you know, it's not cool yet to wear gear that's going to make you more conspicuous in traffic. And that's unfortunate because that's how motorists are going to help see us.
But
This-
you won't go on a military base and not see them, right?
I think they've relaxed that one, Maurice.
Ah, okay.
Used to be dusk to dawn, or it used to be all the time. It used to be 100% when I was served in the military. It was 100%, but then they relaxed it to dusk to dawn,
Nighttime.
just the night hours. But I have heard from counterparts in the military, riders in the military, that they're not even requiring that anymore. Unfortunately.
Okay.
I don't want to take up a lot of time. This is Michelle. This kind of gets me on my little soapbox a little bit about building our safety culture. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than, you know, motorcycles being seen, pedestrians being seen. We can instill in our kids and their grandkids, look for us. We're on a motorcycle. You know, how do we drive that home in our community, in our local community of our family, and then extend that out? I don't know if that's, you know, an idea, if there's something we can produce on our end to help promote that within our own little safety bubble cultures. But that's just my 2 cents.
Yes, that is part of it. I mean, there's not much more that's more effective than the grassroots local deals. And, you know, a lot of that starts at home. And I think Woody touched about that too, is, you know, every morning when we wake up, looking in the mirror and, you know, asking, that's kind of where some of the question came from, is, you know, what are we doing now and where we're at? And, I think we're ready to move on down the next and see what else we got on here. So, you know, I think that's what a lot of people have asked is, you know, well, what are we doing in the past? What can we be doing this year? We've heard a lot of good input on, hey, awareness, and, you know, what will that awareness look like? You know, as far as the outreach and the communication that we're putting out there, I think distracted driving and seeing motorcyclists is a big part of the message that we want to get out there. And also, as we interact with our brothers and sisters on motorcycles, is you know, setting those good examples and mentoring and hopefully educating, so that they're better prepared to face the hazards we're up against. So. And I'm going to open it up for other things that people are got on their list, or that they're looking forward to trying to do or would like to see done this year. So.
Charles Hurd put up, wonder if some political leaders or influencers could become spokespeople for safety on motorcycles. And that
That'd
is
be
a
awesome.
great question, Charles. It would be. At least from what I've heard, and Maurice, you might know something more, it's been hard to even find a political leader that we had somebody, but we don't know who we have anymore. So if we have anybody or you know of anybody, let us know.
I like that Matthew McConaughey. I mean, you know, he is on a motorcycle on the side of an 18-wheeler. I have seen that. So.
Hi, it's Spitfire. So on that, we do a lot of legislative in this region. I'm safety and awareness, but we also, in this TCOCNI Region 1, we have a legislative board. And we do have some motorcyclists that are candidates in certain districts within our area. We used to have Mayor Kirk Watson, which was an avid motorcyclist and was on board a lot with motorcyclism, but because he rode. So right now we're hitting and facing a lot of political people that kind of don't really want to touch motorcyclists. And I'm going to go back to 2015, if y'all know that year. That's been an ongoing battle between then and now, motorcycle profiling going on. And so it's a battle in regards to politics and knowing the people that want to back you, back motorcyclism. So that's where I currently know what that's at. Woody, I don't know if you want to maybe have some little insight on that too. I'll end at that.
I wasn't going to step in there on you, but we touched on Senator Watson or Mayor Candidate Watson. There are a couple other names. I'm having a hard time finding them right now, but I really kind of got interested in the comment. We need the political advocates when it comes to actually legislating and changing laws or putting new laws in place. I don't like using the word lane splitting, but I'm a real advocate of lane queuing, allowing motorcycles to get to the front of the queue. I just don't see that changing in the next 2 or 3 generations, at least out here in the country. But I was really interested in that concept of a celebrity. All right. Getting Mr. McConaughey to get out there and talk about motorcycles might touch. And my focus is it swaps between new riders and the people that are driving automobiles. So if we could get some talent that's talking to the cars to the cages about awareness, that's a clever one. That might be worth some time and effort. I certainly wouldn't mind sitting down with McConaughey and having a cup of coffee and talking it through,
Neither would I.
Definitely. And let's face it, he's a lot more widely recognized than some of these other people, especially, you're talking about a national level kind of thing that could be used, across the nation. But be good if we started it here.
If you have any
I don't know
names or if you know of people, please just drop them in the chat and we will know who they came from and have that name. We can follow up.
Excellent
We can do.
suggestions, guys.
Right.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's a real good one. Just dropping names from people that I see. Keanu Reeves, sure, a big biker.
Keanu.
Big biker.
We talked
I'm
about
not
Keanu.
real. Yeah. Anybody has his home phone number to give him a ring, that would be helpful. Going back to conversation we opened up with in the ladies riders group. There's a lot of mileage to be gained out of that network. So if we're thinking celebrity, let's be inclusive. I don't have a name for you, but
yeah,
great
we
idea.
saw a lot of ladies biker clubs at Lone Star this year. A lot.
We just need to know how to get in touch with them. So if you know of any, have them reach out to us or let us know how to reach out to them.
So how do we hold a rally in Galveston, Texas, with reportedly in excess of 500,000 attendees, 250, maybe 300,000 bikes? And I'm sorry, I'm sad. There was a fatality on the island, and I don't know of any outside of that. But how do we hold a rally with that big? And I know the answer to the question I'm asking. And have that many bikes and manage to get around each other and do fun, because we have significant reduction in the number of cars on the island at that time, I guess. But I think there's some lessons from that rally to be taken away. I'm not sure how to articulate.
Yeah, I know a lot of the locals leave the island.
Except for those that someone had their hand up and then disappeared on us. But-
think it was Tinker. Did you? No, it was our lady writers group. She came
Yeah.
in, Harnella.
There she is.
There she
Oh,
is.
Melinda.
Go ahead. You got the mic.
Hello. Yes, thank you so much. Of course, I'm a female writer. I've been writing for about 18 years, and I've been writing solo. But for the last 2 years, I've joined an African American female writers group, and they are huge. And I do have a gateway to communicate with a lot of the presidents and things like that, but I don't see a lot of things catered to not only just women, but for women of my culture. Because when I do go to the trainings, the advanced trainings and things like that, I feel a little bit more intimidated when I'm next to a guy who's been writing for 50 years and he knows how to make a figure eight better than I do. So I think if we could do something a little bit better, cater to women, and then also minority women, I think that would be a good plus.
Love
That's
it. Thank you.
And where are you located?
I'm in Cibolo, Texas, right outside of San Antonio.
I know right where it is, ma'am.
Okay, great.
I grew up down the street in Universal City.
That's
I
right
went to
down
high
the
school in
road. I know
Windcrest.
exactly where you're at. Okay, cool.
Hi, this is Spitfire. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Spitfire.
So I have a lot of ladies groups. I even have like the Litas here. I know there's the Litas in San Antonio. There's the Litas here in Austin, Round Rock. I do know of Ladies in Leather, so I've got connections with them as well. I'm not able to log on to the Teams meeting, so that's why you're not seeing me raise my hand. For some reason, I was having technical difficulties. But anyways, I'll reach out. I guess Kathy, did you, or who do I send this information to, or the connections information to?
Yeah, you can just drop me an email, Spitfire. That'll be great.
Okay,
Just Kathy.
awesome. I'll do that. Okay.
But we've got about 6 minutes left, I think, on our time, and we've got a ton of stuff to still get through here.
Go ahead.
So
So I
these are
guess
some
one
of
of the
the-
questions, we've heard from the people that are here and doing stuff. And so the other question we have is, who else would you like to see here? I know one of the things on my list, we have had some motorcycle dealers in the past, but I do think that's an area that, we need a little bit more participation and discussion with them on the issues that we're facing. So, and opening it up for your input on who else do you think we need to have at the table and more of?
Next slide. So I apologize. I think I was just I had 6 minutes and it's more like 36 minutes, which is still good because we still have a bunch of stuff to go through. But yes, if you have anybody that meets in any of these areas, anybody else you can think of that can help be that connection to the local communities for two-way traffic communication, we really would appreciate dropping that information to us so we can build this and make a bigger impact. And I think, Michelle, you wanted to have a little bit on the social medias tags that are at the bottom of this slide.
Yes, so we are working to improve our content and make it more relatable. And it was very timely that Tinker, that I found his comment last night on Facebook, just kind of going down a rabbit hole. And so for us, it's really, those channels reach a lot of people. Hopefully they hit, some, hopefully they reach some drivers as well. But the more you can share our information or comment about how we can better serve the community through those channels, please feel free to follow us, tag us, comment. I'm going to try to do, it hasn't been my role really to review comments and such. So that's something I think I'm going to add. We've lost a couple of staff members, and so I think that's an important area we need to get better at. So anything you can do to help us reach more people. If you know defensive driving clubs or anyone to help spread the message, that'd be great.
Is there any value looking at this list of organizations? I'm real keen on the medical and EMS community. Absolutely. A nurses network is another one of my favorite advocacy groups. But I look at this list, I'm thinking, is there any value in including an automobile, a car group? People that are, well, I don't know, hot rod club, fancy car club, vet club, antique club.
That's a great
Anyway,
idea. There's overlap
yeah.
there sometimes.
So they carry it back in the network. I rode my bike out a few weeks ago to the vintage drag race at Little River, and got my feelings hurt because vintage is any automobile before 1980. But had some keen conversations with your kind and my kind, you know, bikes versus cars. So that's where the root of this came up with. Is there something that we can talk about offline later? And I'll give that some noodle too. Okay, thanks.
And that has been one of the places that we've done some of our outreach events as well, as car shows and that kind of thing, for multiple reasons.
Yep. So our next slide. We will get into some of that here in just a second, so I'll circle back on some of those topics that just came up. But somebody asked where Jude is, and Jude had an appointment come up that he couldn't get scheduled at any other time, so we'll jump in there for the task force update. The 2023 focus is we are developing 10 motorcycle safety initiatives to be shared with TxDOT traffic, to be considered for future funding under TxDOT traffic safety grants, TxDOT research and technology implementation program, or other sponsors or funding resources. They're going to be using the 2022 to 2027 strategic action plan for motorcycles, which everybody has access to through the Look, Learn, Live website resources page. TTI staff's going to be working with the task force to help them as they come up with the ideas. We'll get those organized and submitted to TxDOT for approval, and then we'll get it sent out to everybody, including the coalition, TxDOT traffic safety specialists, and on the website. So to help us do that, we're trying to fill some gaps in memberships, just like we're trying to fill some gaps in memberships in the coalition itself. We're looking for the task force to be this smaller group of carrying some action with them. So we're trying to fill in some gaps there. There were some nominations made by Jude to fill those gaps, and those emails went out to invite those new people and also to vote on our first meeting, their first meeting, to be either the last week of November, first week of December. So they'll start working on that initiative. If you'd like to find out anything more about the task force, drop us an email and we can give you some more information about that. And our next slide. Legislative. Um, Again, I know at TCOCNI and Spitfire, usually their legislative group keeps an eye on what's going on in the legislature, as well as Jude with the task force. And he usually gives us a update each coalition meeting. For now, I'll just say that the 88th regular legislative session is slated to begin January 30th of 2023. So it's about to get busy in Austin again. But with TCOCNI and with Jude, there will be updates to the coalition on anything that might be impacting motorcyclists, riders, rider safety going forward.
This is Spitfire again. I do know that we are in fact looking for anybody that may have connections with at least two out of the state capital, two senators. If they have any connection with that, in order to help with backing of the bills that we're trying to pass for legislative. But I'll drop an email to you about that, Kathy.
Okay. And we are keeping I think it's the traffic committees in the House and the Senate that we're trying to keep track of who's on those and be making more contact with them this year as well. So other things going on in 2023. Part of the education and outreach, we're doing the Look, Learn, Live booth. It's going out to events. We just finished up the rally in Lone Star Rally in Galveston. Thank you all for joining us that came out. And there were unfortunately 3 fatalities that were related to the rally and other injuries. And I'm the same way. I went to just trying to get back to the hotel after the event. There's bikes, all looking for the bikes, sitting at the light turns green, but that also means for me to turn right, that also means that all the pedestrians get to walk across the road. So there were a lot of those out there too. And just hoping that the person behind me wasn't too impatient to push me through a crowd of people. So we appreciate their support. Our next event, we've got 2 back-to-back now, it sounds like. So Maurice shared that the ranch, Harley Davidson in Bryan.
College Station.
In College Station. Okay, the ranch Harley Davidson in College Station is having their toy run on December the 3rd. So we're going to meet with him and get some information to him to send out to that event. And then Laura and Kim will be at the Central Texas toy run on December the 4th. That one's going to be in Temple, Texas at the Mayborn Convention Center. And then in February, we're planning on going to the Houston RV show. We were looking for some major general events to try to talk to motorists to look for motorcycles and share the road campaign with them. So we looked at Houston and Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so RV show in February in Houston, and then in Dallas will be at the EarthX convention. That thing is huge. So the EarthX in April. We haven't been there in a few years, and that one is supposed to be over 500,000 people and speakers and conventions and everything else. So it's a huge event. If there's anybody in those areas that would like to help us man a booth, please let us know, because we will definitely accept some help. Even if it's just hang out with us for an hour or 2 and talk to people, that's what we're there to do. So our next focus outside of events is Texas Department of Transportation asked everybody actually this year. They're pulling their data from 3 different criteria, and asking every grantee to come up with a strategic plan to meet the communities that are most impacted by fatalities, increasing fatalities, percentage of fatalities for their particular area. So for motorcyclists, we're trying to reach those specific areas, which is why we've asked that everybody on the coalition, our email list, for a lot of folks, it's just an email. Some people we have a name, some people we have a full bunch of information, but to help us know what communities we're reaching, just as Maurice was asking today, where are you in the state? We're asking you to update your coalition information, membership information, so that we know where you're located. That way we can tell TxDOT, we know people, we are actually communicating and giving information to people in Leander, in Hunt County, outside the city limits, in wherever it is that these communities that they have identified that they would like us to reach. So we would truly appreciate your help in helping us update those contacts and understanding where you're coming from. And I think we're just asking for a zip code. So we're not looking for your mailing address or your home address, but just your zip code, so we can kind of track generally where we're reaching people.
I dropped a link in the chat for that.
Thank you, Michelle. And then one of our other projects that we're working on is actually working with the traffic safety specialists in each of the TxDOT districts throughout the state. There's 25 districts. Every traffic safety specialist now has created a traffic safety coalition within their district. So if you don't know who your district traffic safety specialist is, that might be a good person to try to find out. We can help you find out who that is. If you let us know where you live, we can let you know who your traffic safety specialist is. They are responsible for getting out in the community and sharing information and getting information about traffic safety. And there are more people on this call, I'm sure, that know more about that than I do, because I'm new to this game. But we'll be working with them to see what they need from us to help reach their communities better as well. So those traffic safety specialists are also the ones that have the yard signs, look for motorcycles, share the road yard signs. So if you're wanting some of those, that traffic safety specialist is the person to contact, and they're local and can get them to you. We'll help you find them. If you can't find out who they are, let us know. We'll put you in touch with them and make sure that they have some available. Questions or comments over any of that? All right, I think we're good, Jack. Let's move on. So one of the biggest challenges I think we have facing us almost every year has been the annual motorcycle safety conference. We already put out our survey. We need to have information to TxDOT next week as to what the date and location is going to be. So we've sent out the survey. We've had over 90 people now have responded to that survey. I think Michelle just sent out the link again yesterday. And we can, if we get someone to drop that one in the chat too, it'd be great. But when I pulled the numbers earlier this week for this presentation, we had 88 responses. So thank you for completing the survey. And let's take a look at what you're saying so far. The forum has been in person. When it's been in person, one event, centrally located. So we asked, do we want a one-day in-person event? Do we want a half-day in-person event in multiple places, like 3 different places across the state, have 3 half-day events? Or do we want a virtual forum like we did during COVID? So the next click tells us our top choice so far has been in person one day, with a close second of being the half day in 3 different locations. We're going to go ahead and leave that survey open through Friday. So if anybody hasn't taken it yet, we'll leave that survey open through Friday. Actually, you know what? Let's leave it open through Sunday.
I'm
We'll shut it
getting
off Sunday evening.
When you get that link, send it to your friends and your other buddies you know who ride. Tell them to come on out.
We're working on getting that link for you. Somebody here at TTI is. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But right now it's kind of leaning towards the one day. We're looking at preparing for 2024 right now as well, and looking for other alternatives so that half day multiples across the state or presentations to motorcycle clubs and groups, kind of more directed, is another option that we're looking at. So that's where we are on that one. Our next question was whether or not we want to have the forum around a motorcycle event, such as the Heart of Texas Rally, the Rock Rally, MotoGP. And most of them, majority said it doesn't make a difference. But right behind that was, we don't want the forum around one of those events. So we'll continue to look at a clear weekend to have our events.
I have a
Sorry.
better chance of bringing people to the forum on a non-event weekend, so I don't have a conflict. In the back of my head, I referenced earlier, I got a new buddy that just started riding. I want to bring him and a couple of his buds in to the forum, but I don't want to compete. It's just me, so y'all do what you want to do. I just don't want to compete with a rally. And Rod is just, I want to get started on that one. So that's my opinion. I have a better chance of getting new guys to attend the forum outside of a rally.
And as we learned last weekend, not during MotoGP, especially in a different part of the state.
Yeah, in conjunction would be the same location where you can attend both, but
Right.
it's hard to be.
Yeah, and with what Galveston looked like over the weekend, we're like, yeah, we didn't want to have a forum at the same time that this all is going on too. So, yeah, I think we all agree that not during a major event, another motorcycle event. We'll keep them separate.
We'll conference room meet up at that end.
So our next question was about the coalition meeting in conjunction with the forum. Since the coalition meetings have gone primarily virtual, we are still getting that we want to be in person. And so the question is, can we do a coalition meeting in conjunction the night before or the morning after the forum? And overwhelmingly, that was, yeah, let's do a coalition meeting. Before is slightly more popular than after. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll probably do like we did last year if the numbers keep together and have it the evening before, so people can come in midday, do a coalition meeting, and then the next day we'll do our forum. And then our next question is, when are we going to do it? So what month? We put out April, May, June, or July. Our top choice on this one again was April. Close second being May. When we're looking at other things that are going on at the same time, there's a lot of events that would be, there's no free weekends in May that we've been able to locate yet. So Right now, the only weekend that I've been able to locate in April that doesn't have anything else on it, unless somebody else on this call knows of anything, is Saturday, April 1st. So, Maurice, you called it.
I called it, now that I told you what I called it, I'm like, I think it's a motorcycle safety, no fooling her. It's no joke.
Yeah, it's
So.
no joke. So, the alternate weekend would be the closest one that doesn't have any other motorcycle specific events is May 6th, which we don't know whether or not that's going to be the kickoff for Motorcycle Safety Month. I think it might be the weekend before. But we also have the West Texas CMA State Rally, the Gypsy Motorcycle Cinco de Mayo Rally on that weekend. So right now it's really looking towards April 1st. Please, please, please don't wait to tell us that something is on that date. We know MotoGP is not on there, but let us know if there's anything else that might be in conflict. Right now, that's a preliminary date. We'll probably try to have that solidified.
And
next question
fill
is
out the
where?
survey if you haven't, and send it to your friends.
There you go. Send it to anybody, everybody. If you're in a group, send it to everybody in the group. Have them send it to all their friends. We really would love to build the coalition or the forum to be more than just half staff and half attendees. A few years back, we had like over 200 attendees on it. Would love to see those numbers again. It's not just for riders. We'd like to be able to reach some of the motorists as well and maybe do some perceptions or intersections activities so that they understand what motorcyclists do to be seen, what our challenges are. So along that line, if you have any ideas for topics or speakers,
Hey, Kathy. I got
feel
a
free to
hand
send
up.
those in too. Sure.
Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, thanks, Mr. President. Kathy, where was it? Do you remember where it was when we had the 200 attendees? I forget.
It was at the Wyo Ranch in Kerrville.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Thank you.
And Kerrville was one of the suggestions, and the others specify on this one. So I think they were all ranked. We just looked at the top 3 combined, and even just the top 2 combined. Our Austin seems to be the leading choice. Houston and DFW or San Antonio. San Antonio came in second, and then Houston or DFW. So, Jack, we've got our top choice click, and that held true whether it was just the top 2 or all top 3. I know getting into Austin is a nightmare. There are a few roads. I know we held it out there. Oh, I don't even know how many years ago it was. But they actually held the forum the day before the DPS instructor conference or coach conference.
I feel like that was maybe 2016 or 2017.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Maybe 15.
But I know when we were doing that, there were some maps that were shared around of where some good rides are in the area. Mike is going to sleep on us. Sorry, Mike. Just because that's where you live and work.
Yeah, it's painful. I'm going to have to drive all the way to Texarkana and back just to get a decent ride in for the for the forum. Maurice, what do you say?
Well, maybe Jude should have wrote in Texarkana, and we could all, go up and hit that spot. But
I'd vote for it. I would
I
definitely
guess
vote for it.
send the survey to more We need to get it to more Northeast Texas people, I guess.
But
Greenville.
Austin, I mean, Austin is
Tinkers.
probably one of the worst places, honestly. I mean, haven't we beat that horse to death yet? I mean, I think we should, it's just a personal opinion, obviously, but there's so many other good places we could go.
Bastrop's better than Austin, right?
Word.
Bastrop, I like it. Lots of good places out in Bastrop.
I'm thinking if you're trying to
Bastrop.
get like geographic central place of Texas, I think is out near Moody, but I know there's no good riding out there because I used to live out there.
It's Brady, Texas. Brady, Texas is the geographical center.
Geographic Brady.
And that's a cool town too. Anywhere
Okay.
but Austin. Oh, it's just painful, but that's just Mike's opinion, which that and $7 will buy you a cup of coffee. So
Well, promote it out to your people and tell them to send the survey in.
I had mentioned some about Kingsland area, going up that way, on the survey. Woody, I don't know if you want to chime in on that Kingsland area, 1431, because you're always riding around that area.
Hudson Bend. Good places out there. Marble Falls.
that's kind of Lakeway though.
And it's just outside of Austin.
Yeah.
Not going inside, but yeah, definitely out 1431, traveling out that way. Really nice riding area. Similar to, like Kerrville, Bandera.
Please drop these little communities and ideas in around because we will investigate them. Just because it says Austin does not mean we need to be at 35 and 2222, between that little triangle, 35, 22, 22, and 183. Yeah, that's that's a nightmare on any day. But yeah, send some ideas. And hey, I like, I think Michelle just put in that Bastrop is technically in the Austin district. So maybe we'll talk to our Austin traffic safety specialists and see if they have some recommendations as well. So all right. Keep those ideas coming in. We have to finalize it by next week, but we still have until then. You've got a few days left. And Maurice, I think this one goes back to you as coalition meeting dates and agenda topics.
Oh, okay. So with coming up, one of the things that she talked about was trying to set dates for the rest of the year. And then also get topics we want to hear more about, things you want more things we need to concentrate on. We talked about the awareness issues, these kind of things. So I'm going to open up the microphone, chime in on them, and or send them in the chat to them. So, or if you have a suggestion on a speaker or somebody you'd like to hear from, so please send those things in. This is our time to get those areas covered and submit them.
I know, Maurice, you had asked for some data. And we were hoping to get into this meeting, but we had a whole lot of stuff that was going to take up the time. So we'll continue to start working on pulling some data. If there's any specific data that anybody in the coalition would like to know about, drop that information in the chat as well, and we'll see what we can do to pull it up for you.
Hey, Kathy, if they think about something later, should they email you about the data? Sorry.
That would be great.
Okay, I'll drop your email in the chat.
Or even if they come up with another great suggestion or speaker later on, they can still send that in even after the meeting, between meetings. So, but the sooner we get them, the better. Hey, Keith, you still there? I'm sure you've got a suggestion or two or a speaker you might.
Well, Maurice, one thing that occurs to me, can we consider the idea of maybe having the meetings every now and then live again rather than just doing virtual?
I'm for it. Would like to see several of your smiling faces and be able to meet and greet and talk and share. And
Yeah.
so a hybrid, probably the answer there is hybrid, because I mean some people still aren't, but I'm all for it. I'm ready for it. So great suggestion.
Would the university be willing to host them again?
Absolutely. I'll say yes.
Excellent.
Sounds like it.
And yes, Mike, I am looking for a reason to ride and get together.
And we're
We
out
always
at
do, don't we,
Relish
Keith?
now. We're out at Relish now. I don't know.
We
I
had
should
one,
ask
we
before I
had
make these
meetings,
suggestions.
we had 1 or 2 meetings at Relish, I think, before everything locked down. So I have that visual memory of being in the big conference room at Relish.
Yes, that was the last couple of them we had were
Yeah.
at the Relish.
Yeah. And we have lots of room. I don't know what the opportunity is for us to set up a obstacle course or something. That may be completely out of the question. I don't know. Kathy's saying no. Okay. There may be
Not unless-
liability or something.
Not unless we worked out something.
Maurice is
from-
laughing.
Not unless we worked out something over on the runway, I think, but I understand that there's some painted pavement
Yeah.
out
They're
there.
doing some crosswalk studies out in the side parking lot.
Oh, I was talking about on the runways.
Oh,
There too.
Just Maurice wouldn't have that far to ride if he went to Relish, so.
Hey, I'm not going to complain. I'll still ride there, and I've been known to follow people part of the way home. So
We are planning on the one with the forum to be live this year. The others are just planned to be virtual. I think with virtual, we've been doing them for about an hour and a half, which is hard to sit in front of your computer for an hour and a half. I get it. I think when we were doing them live, they were from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think there was we'll do the GoFundMe to give us lunch while we're at catering lunch.
we typically bring lunch in for the TMSC meeting somehow. I don't know how, but
Yeah,
it
that's
happens.
the problem.
Well, Christy knows how.
But we're here to
uh,
help you, so let us know what we can do
right.
to help you.
let's get some more on the topics and speakers you'd like to hear. Send them to Kathy through email or whatever. So please get those in as you come up and you go home and you sleep, and the next morning you wake up and you have that great idea. Send it in.
And everybody's looking for that beautiful road out there, aren't they? A little straight for my likes.
I never would have noticed the pavement issues until now.
So this is another opportunity for other issues, topics, concerns, or other matters that want to come up. So this is time to bring up things that haven't been covered yet. So the mic is open.
Go ahead, Laura. You have to unmute.
Okay. Y'all may have gotten an email. I believe yes, it must have come from me. You probably got an email from me over the last week or two. If you're on the coalition mailing list, and you may have gotten it from other places. We are in the process of surveying riders in Texas. It's part of a project we're doing for TDLR, trying to improve the availability of training across the state. So it's basically an invitation to an online survey. If you are able to go and take that survey, that'd be great. That may be another link we can also maybe plunk in the chat. I'll see if I can find it. Should take about 10 minutes or less, and then we are offering a $25 Amazon gift card for people who complete it. If you have already completed it and you haven't gotten your gift card yet, it is on the way. We found out when we started sending out the gift cards that our corporate credit card would only let us buy about 80 cards a day. So we're playing catch up right now, but we've got the list and we're working through it. So if you haven't gotten your card yet, it should be coming. Anyway, if you haven't had a chance to take that survey, it's basically just asking you a little bit about your riding and things like that. And we're just trying to figure out who among Texas riders out there might have some interest maybe someday in becoming an instructor.
Hey, Laura.
Yes, sir.
Can you send that to me? I don't know if I ran across that one, and I'll forward it to a few. I've got others to forward it to. And we got 2 hands up. So the first name I see is Mike, and then we'll go to the other one. So go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, Tinker was first. Go right ahead, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Tinker was, but on my screen it switched. Tinker, you're first, sir.
Okay. And yeah, I would definitely like a link to that survey as well. My question was quick. Do we have anything set up for like a design or even just an actual product for patches? I mean, we're talking bikers and vests and patches, and you want to get awareness out there. How about a little 2x3 inch patch you can put somewhere?
I like that suggestion. You know what? I don't know that that's come up before. I don't recall that one ever coming up.
We had a patch years ago. It was a Look, Learn, Live patch, and it might have been a Drink, Ride, Lose patch, but we were next to a patch booth, and we were talking about that, maybe getting a Texas Motorcycle Safety Coalition patch.
Yeah, something simple would probably work pretty well.
Send in your design ideas.
I will do that. That's one of my jobs.
See, all this, it's just because it's destiny.
All right. Okay, Mike, we'll give you a shout. And thank you for reading that Tinker was ahead of you. Thanks. Keeping me straight. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm here for you, brother. I'm here for you. Hey, Laura, I just wanted to give you a heads up. I go out and do my audits, as you know, Texas Motorcycle Schools, and I have seen some of the brochures that you've been sending. So some of the people that have ordered those, they actually have them in classrooms in and around the state. So that word is getting out. Just to give you some feedback on your efforts. Great job. Definitely appreciate you. And at the Lone Star rally, I actually saw a guy with an old program patch, the old DPS program patch, the old blue, and I was there with John and talked to him for a little bit. And yeah, he had taken it back when the program actually first started here in Texas. So it was kind of cool to see that. That was it. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. More suggestions, guys. Keep them coming.
And Laura did drop the link for the survey into the chat, so you can copy that out, and it'll also be included in the meeting minutes when we get it posted to Look, Learn, Live.
Yes.
Yeah, send us that reminder email and I will be forwarding that out. Get it to as many people as you can.
We're looking for writers, not instructors, not coaches. It's looking for
Writers.
specifically for writers that are not already instructors to get their background and understanding. I think this time we're actually a little over, Maurice, so
Yep, it's about that time. You have any, that was the last item, was the open, so. All right, well, if there aren't any, we've covered everything that we're today. Just remember to email in their suggestions and items, Kathy. We can continue to work on that and prepare for the next agendas and topics. And if you come up with other writers' suggestions or famous great spokespeople that we can reach out to, then let us know. And with that, that's all we have today. I'll adjourn the meeting. Any other items?
thank you all for coming. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for
Thank you all
having
for
me.
being
Good to
here.
meet you.
Thank you for having me. Y'all stay warm and stay safe.
Yeah, we've got a
Right,
cold
Steve?
front coming.
Ride safe
Yeah.
till next time, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, y'all. Happy Veterans Day.
Take care, Mike.
That is tomorrow, isn't it?